Clark.
My debut 1990 September, Bristol City away, to get that opportunity, what thousands of Geordies only dream of.
Lee Clark 1-0.
Williams.
My first goal for Sunderland away at Leicester was a left foot volley. I didn't realise my left foot was for kicking the ball with as well. I thought it was just for standing it.
Williams! Darren Williams for Sunderland.
Hignett.
Playing against Chelsea and to score the first goal there is something that still lives with me now, and it's what most people will talk to me about.
Hignett with the ball. Go on, Iggy. You beauty! You Scouser Teesside beauty!
Worshipped every weekend. It's the three legends. Banter and rivalry across the North East. On the Toon, the Cat, the Red.
Good evening. It is the three legends with Craig, Lee and Darren. Good evening, gents. How are we doing?
Evening. All good, thank you.
All good.
All good, mate.
Excellent. Welcome to the show. This is the Cat, the Toon and the Red with the three legends. If you want to take part, all you have to do is just drop us a WhatsApp on 0330 or 43 2002. You can also give us a call as well if you want to speak to the legends. We'll allow it. Just this one time. No, if you've got something to say, if you've anything about what's happening with football at the moment, whether it be in the wider football circles or with our big North East three, then just drop us a WhatsApp 0330 or 43 2002 and we will get you on. Guys, it's been a funny old fortnight, hasn't it? It feels as though it's gone on for quite a while, this international break. Do we have too many international breaks these days?
Boring. Absolutely boring.
Yeah,
honestly,
definitely, mate.
I agree, Clarky.
Definitely.
Especially because England as well. They're usually in a group where the games are just too easy for them. I know they got it didn't play particularly well in the two games, but they got a win and a draw. But they were already qualified, and because they're such high seeded, always the qualifications seem to be a bit of a doddle for England, don't they? And they never excite you, the games. So, and like you said, Darren, it's dragged on, this one. It's just took ages.
Yeah.
You cannot wait for obviously tonight to start the returns with the championship game, Rotherham v Leeds, and obviously you've got the full programme over the weekend. So, and now we look forward to the exciting time coming up towards Christmas, where the games come thick and fast in the early part of New Year. So that's a good thing. In terms of your question about the internationals, I think there is too many. But how else do you do it? You've got to obviously fit the qualifications in and different things. I mean, it's where you put them and how you do it,
I mean, in all honesty, it's helped me. I've knitted myself a scarf for Christmas, so it's not been too bad.
During the game, does.
Yeah, during the game, mate. It was either that or fall asleep.
They're boring, aren't they? Let's be fair. The game and the team that Gareth played isn't going to be anywhere near the team that will play in the European Championships, is it? Let's be fair. And
nah,
it's just a boring watch,
exactly.
wasn't it? It was stale. It was horrible. I'd much rather be watching Borough play or whoever than have to wait 2 weeks and watch what we had to watch there. I know they've got to fit them in, and I know they've got to play them, and we all want England to do well in the European Championships, that's for sure. And they probably go into it as favourites, or one of the favourites anyway. So we do want them to do well, and we want it, as many get-togethers as we can. But when you're having a get-together and he's playing, not the team who's going to play, it just seems a bit pointless for me. It's great for the other lads; they'll get caps, won't
you?
I tell you what,
you would still expect a bit of excitement, though, wouldn't you?
I tell you what it shows, though. It shows us that, like any club team, when we talk about it, you're missing your top players. It can affect you, because I tell you what, they missed Jude Bellingham, England. Yeah. Wow, did they not? And we're talking about England having a squad that we think's capable and being one of the top teams going into the Euros, but we're talking about one player there here who can make a difference. So when we talk about it at club level, it just shows you how important it is, isn't it, when you're missing your best players, especially at club level as well.
Well, you look at that second game, you missed Kane and Bellingham. If even just those two, take those two out, it doesn't matter who plays. It's massive, isn't it, for them? So you're right, Clarky, if you take anything out of any of our three, it's going to hurt them.
Yeah. definitely.
This is the thing, though, isn't it? Like, you should be able to mess about with the squad and it still be an exciting game, and still, we still should dominate games and look exciting. But it was just so lacklustre and boring, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you think the fact that they do play these games and they're not the most highly entertaining, Gareth is messing about with this squad, do you think that puts more pressure on Gareth Southgate? Because he's come under a bit of stick recently because of these lacklustre performances, when in reality they're training games, aren't they? They're just, he's trying out new players, he's trying out new things. That they're not really competitive games.
Well, he made a good point, didn't he, after the Malta game? He made a good point saying, it wasn't where we want to be. It wasn't the type of performance we want to deliver. But I know these lads can deliver on the big stage, i.e. when they beat Italy, home and away. So he has got that in his locker. And, and let's get it right, they've got to the final of the previous Euros. So, there is that expectation and belief that this squad has got the chance to obviously be the first group since '66 to do something, because I tell you what, this frustrates me. It's from my era, and all our eras actually, and they keep talking about this so-called golden generation, but it wasn't a golden generation in my opinion, because they never ever delivered on the big stage. What did we get to, the quarter final? Bobby Robson's lads in 1990 were the better group than them, probably less fancied, probably didn't have the individuals with the talent as many as what the so-called golden generation had, but they just didn't seem to, and there's been the talk now, because a lot of them in the punditry world, there's talk about a lot of it being very cliquey during their period, and that seems to tell you the reason why that group of players didn't really do what
we've
they were
spoke about this
expected to
before, Clarky. We've talked about this before, and we said it seemed very, Man U players wouldn't talk to so and so, or the London mob didn't get on with the Scousers or the Northern lads, and I think that is it was an issue. It's not now, because I think Gareth has sorted that out, and I think they look like a real team. But I think back then, yes, they did have some brilliant individual players, and really as a team they should have done much better than they did, but because of the cliques and egos involved, we never ever got to see, I don't think, the best of that generation. And I think you're dead right. If you could just put your ego aside and just go and do what you're good at, they could have been a brilliant side, but they never were they?
No, not at all, mate. And but they keep getting harped on about Higgy. They keep getting taught about it. It keeps getting brought up. Oh, are they going to be? Is this group going to be better than the golden generation? Well, the golden generation never done anything, so I don't know why they're getting compared. They were unbelievably talented footballers for their clubs, and individually they were brilliant, but for that country, they never delivered. And like we've said, we looks like we understand the reasons why now. I know I knew some of the lads who got some of their caps and were involved during the Sven-Göran Eriksson days and stuff like that. And without trying to be a bit controversial, they said his standard of his coaching and match preparation was very, very basic. Basically along the lines is, we play 4-4-2, we attack together, we defend together. Good luck. That was one of his. But you
heard a bit like with the Capello mob. You heard a little bit like that with Capello, didn't you?
No, but that was sad, serious, Daz. We're giggling and it is funny, but for the real world, when we were thinking, well, we brought in Sven-Göran Eriksson, this apparently amazing foreign coach on a mega salary, who, by the way, made my coaching badges be ridiculously priced at the FA for us to try and get me coaching badges, because we had to pay his salary. He was on
I love how you blamed him for shelling out for your coaching badge. I want a refund off him.
And it was like, but when I got told the stories, it was like, wow. It was like, really? And it was like, you know what it's like, lads. We've all been in dressing rooms, and you do want managers to keep it simple. But you would be amazed if someone who you're thinking is a master tactician or a great coach, puts on great sessions, comes out with that. We're playing 4-4-2. We defend together. We attack together. We defend together. Good luck.
Aye,
Keep the ball,
Mike
score
Bassett.
goals.
Mike Bassett. I suppose if you're Pep Guardiola, you can do
Aye.
that, like, because you just got world class players in every position. You don't need to tell them how to play the game.
No. It does seem
the Benson
mad, doesn't
Ledgers up front.
That's brilliant.
All right, guys. We've got to call it into the show. You can get in touch with the Three Legends on 0330 or 43 2002. And joining us right now, we've got Rob in Stockton. Good evening, Rob.
Yeah, right, lads.
Yeah.
Hello, Rob.
Hi, Rob.
You're on with the Legends,
Hey,
Rob.
All right, mate.
Yeah, touching on the England topic, I didn't see them play, but the only golden generation for England was 66. Simple.
Great.
Job done.
Yeah.
But moving on to domestic football, with Everton getting 10 points deduction for one financial fair play breach, surely that's going to lead City to getting kicked out of the league. Or it should do, unless you're giving them 100 plus points deduction. As a Borough fan...
Did you
how
say
would
league
you
or
feel-
leagues?
The league, Premier League. But how would you feel as a
They
Borough
should be
fan
out the
or a
leagues, never mind
Sunderland
anything
fan
else.
if they were dropped into your league?
Let me just I'll speak.
Devastated.
I'll speak from a neutral, and I'll let the two other lads speak from with our Borough and Sunderland heads on. And I'll speak from a neutral. One, I seen Guardiola interview today where he's saying their cases are completely different to what Everton have been accused of and sanctioned for. I don't know if that's right or
It's
wrong.
worse.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
They've got more.
114 times worse.
My
Yeah.
opinion
exactly, yeah.
is if they're found guilty on X number of charges, whether it's the full 115 or it's 40 or 50, because this sanction for Everton's been 10 points deduction for one charge, it means that they have to then be demoted. Now, you're saying to the Championship, I think it's
I
another
was using that as an example.
Well, yeah, exactly. I think it's another Glasgow Rangers job. I think it's back down to the bottom and start again.
Yeah.
Because what they've done is the set of precedents now, the Premier League, with this 10 points for Everton for one charge, and Chelsea and Chelsea and Man City have got many other charges to be found guilty of or get their lawyers to get them off of it. So I just think what happened with Rangers, it'll be what will happen with them.
Yeah.
Well, I can shed a bit of light on, because the legal team now, the Premier League have come out and said the 10 points deduction is 2 points for every year that Everton have benefited. So they're saying that Everton have benefited because of this for 5 years. So they've got 10 points, which is 2 points a year. But the Premier League have known that for 5 years and dragged their heels to bring this to a head. So the Premier League have known 5 years ago. So it's not Everton's fault that it took the Premier League 5 years to deal with this.
So, for example, Higgy, just another one then. If you're saying that, right, so if they work off the same format, if you remember a couple of years ago when Liverpool and Man City went toe-to-toe, Liverpool got a ridiculous amount of points. I don't know what the exact total was, but
He lost
Man
by
City,
1 point, Clarky.
Man City pinned him to the title. So if you're saying that for every year, that year, if they're working off 2 points for every year, Liverpool should have been title winners that year.
Yeah, twice. They would be title winners twice.
Exactly.
Clarky.
So what I just think, I don't know if whoever's been on this commission and whatever, on this legal team, have realised the consequences of what the sanctions they've put to Everton, what the knock-on effect's going to be.
Well, the more you hear about it, the more you think the Premier League have come out to say that, just so it saves their face when they don't dock Man City or Chelsea the same amount of points for 100 more breaches.
Higgy.
Yeah.
Have Everton benefited on field though? Because their losses are through the stadium build.
The stadium. So they were told all along. Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Rob. So they were told initially that they were building a new stadium. It was going to benefit the club, benefit the area, benefit all that stuff. they were told that the losses off that stadium wouldn't be included in the reckoning, so they were out of the equation. So with that, you had COVID, so you had no crowds. You then had a player who was arrested, who was not charged, who then left the football club for free.
Yeah,
when he was worth 40 odd million.
Yeah, that's a good point, by the way.
So now they're saying that all of that. Now they're saying that the stadium loss counts. They're not even in the stadium yet.
No.
So it's absolutely it's so unjust. And listen, I'm a Liverpool fan, but this is so unjust. It's frightening. You know, I wouldn't. When you see things like this, I've got no other explanation for why. So I mean, Everton fans are up in arms. They're protesting. There's going to be a big protest, a big group. They were going to go down to the Premier League and stand outside and do all that. I'm sure at the game, the Man United game this weekend, there's going to be massive banners. There's going to be a big hoo-ha. That's for sure there. Everton have been dealt with so harshly. It's frightening.
Yeah, well, I think there will be a logical reason behind the decision, but I just don't feel as though they've told everyone that.
When Borough had 3 points deducted, why wasn't it 2? if it was only 1 year that we'd benefited from it, and by the way, we didn't benefit from anything. But why didn't you only get 2 points deducted?
Usually, we should have just got a 3-0 loss and not had anything deducted. What happened to that?
If we'd have got 2 points deducted, we stay up.
Yeah.
So if that's their logic now, what's changed that suddenly makes you get 2 points for every year? Well, it wasn't like that back in the day. So when did that change, and who changed that? And why weren't anyone told? But I mean, the 10 points for Everton's ridiculous. And to have it immediately done when you've got Man City and Chelsea who are still, you know, it's still going on theirs. I don't know how long it's been going on for now, but it'll be as long as Everton's, I'm sure. Why isn't anything happening with theirs?
Yeah. It's just
like
weird.
Clarky says,
it's just strange.
and Daz says, would they go down to the Championship? No. I think they should go right down to the bottom. If you've got 115 breaches and Everton have got 1, and by the way, the 19 million quid over, that's it. But you can trace that back to the stadium. You can trace that back to COVID. You can trace that back. Without them, they're well in the financial fair play.
How about this? How about you give them a 20 points deduction every season for the next 10 years in the Premier League? So they're going to find it very hard to win the league. A handicap sort of thing.
Ooh, Man City and Chelsea.
Yeah, 20 points. They start off minus.
Well, why should they stay in the league?
But why should they stay on the top level?
No.
I know what you're saying. But what's to say that they'd still be the same in another league? So Championship, maybe, yes. If they go down to League 2, they've still got to. Do you think the owners will want to go and get them back up again, or do you think the owners will move on and go and buy?
I tell you what, Higgy. It'll be interesting because I bet you none of them players have got relegation clauses in their contracts.
No. Can you imagine that team playing in League 2? I mean, imagine them rocking up at Harrogate somewhere, or so, you know what I mean, in League 2, and you've still got the yeah. It'd be nuts, wouldn't it? But
there's a question around the players. So would the players want to stay as well?
There's no.
Do you know what I mean? Would the players want to stay? You know, if the club gets
well, he's in his press conference today. Guardiola come out and said, if we end up in League 1, I'll be the manager.
He's definitely not got a relegation clause then.
Well, listen, we'll all get to see how good he is then, won't we? Because he won't have all the big players, and you've got that argument as Pep couldn't do it in League 1. I bet he could.
Let's see how he finds Brunton Park when the urinals and the stands coming through the roof of the away dressing room.
Can I just ask?
Yeah, but he'd still go 4-4-2 though.
Can I just ask then, just on this topic, do we think they should be stripped of their titles as well over this period? I mean, particularly Manchester City. is that punishment? Is that punishment enough, or do you think it's got to be stripped and docked points or removed from the league?
It's a hard one, isn't it? Because if you say that Everton might get relegated, if Everton only beat relegation by a few points, then the argument would be, well, why haven't Everton been relegated?
Yeah,
and that'd be really harsh. But listen, if Man City have benefited and they've won the league by a point twice, then why shouldn't he lose the titles?
Mm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Why shouldn't? If they won't, I don't think they will. But why shouldn't they? If that's benefit, that's what benefiting you is. It's benefited them unbelievable because they've won the Premier League twice. They've got into the Champions League because of it. How many seasons have they done that for? So the benefit to them has been unbelievably big.
And they do it in the Olympics.
Whereas the benefit to Everton has been what? What's the benefit been to Everton? Stay in the league?
No, they haven't benefited. Yeah, exactly. Struggle to stay in the league.
It's unbelievable. I don't. You could say Everton have benefited massively because they've got money every year from the Premier League since then. But if you outweigh, what Chelsea have benefited or what Man City have benefited, it's a different world.
Oh, it's a really interesting point. Thank you, Rob, for bringing that up this evening.
Yeah, cheers, Rob.
Cheers for calling.
Cheers, Rob.
Keep in touch. Rob. You can call anytime or message the Three Legends on 0330 or 43 2002. Get in touch and you can speak to the legends just like Rob did. All right, lads, we'll chat more about our North East footy when we come back right after this.
Right across the northeast, the Toon, the Cat and the Red.
I think one thing's for sure, guys, that whole debate about Man City and Chelsea and Everton is going to go on and on and on. I don't think we've heard the last of that one. All right, let's move on to North East football, where the football is back. Thank goodness. And Newcastle are in action tomorrow in St James's Park. A 3 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday. How about that? When they take on Chelsea. Eddie Howe was asked today what his thoughts of when Chelsea, the fact that Chelsea are starting to turn things around again.
Yeah, very much so. I think firstly they've got a great manager, someone who's been in the Premier League before and has had success developing younger players, and I think he's a really good fit for Chelsea. I think they're improving every week. You can see his stamp on the team, and they've got high level players, so yeah, full credit to him and the job that he's doing. And we know this is going to be a real test because I think, as I said, the level of improvement's very quick. Yeah, our home form has been very strong, with some difficult fixtures as well. I think you look back at our last league game, Arsenal here was a really strong performance, dogged performance, full of determination, discipline, quality. And I think the level of opponent's going to be very similar for us this weekend. So a similar type performance and atmosphere would be more than welcome.
Do you think the Geordies are up for a similar type of performance as they put up against Arsenal tomorrow when Chelsea come to town, like?
It all depends who comes back from the injury list, Darren, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think the players will be recharged. They look tired in the defeated Bournemouth. They look really, really tired. Group of players. Actually, the staff did as well, to be honest. But I thought, I think there's been, Eddie's confirmed that he's hoping to have Almiron, Fabian Schär, and definitely back. He's waiting on reports on Sean Longstaff and Alexander Isak. So I hope they can come through, because certainly if you're going to beat, like we've just talked about there, a fastly improving Chelsea team that seems to be playing in the Pochettino way now. I mean, I watched that game against City. That was just absolutely brilliant game. The 4-4, both teams looked brilliant on the day. So I think if we're going to do well against them tomorrow, we need an out-and-out striker. I know Anthony Gordon can do it the odd time, but I think I'd like to see Alexander Isak back in the team tomorrow to give us that focal point to cause them problems. I think the big thing for me is the injury list. It's made a massive dent on our progress in the last couple of weeks. So just see who gets named in the team sheet tomorrow. That's the thing, really.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with Newcastle at the minute, Clark, isn't it? The injuries have been massive for them. They've had loads of games, and by the way, they've still got loads of games, and you're coming up to a busy period as well, where you're going to need all your squad. You know, you get into December, and suddenly you're on Christmas, and there's games left, right, and centre, and you need all your players. So that's going to be a big thing. I don't think Eddie will risk anyone knowing what's coming up. Obviously, they've got PSG, haven't they, in the week, which is a massive game for them. But he'll want to do well, and Chelsea, like the turnaround in Chelsea, I think has been brilliant. I thought they were a real mess when I was looking at them.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Earlier in the season, I thought that's a big job, and it's not a job that you can fix overnight. But listen, he's got them playing a different way now, and like you say, that game against Manchester City, there was some breathtaking football there.
Oh, brilliant!
So it's going to be a real tough game for them, and they're going to have to be at their best, aren't they, Newcastle?
Definitely, I think. Everyone's. I think a lot of Newcastle fans are in the same boat as what I've just said. They're a little bit apprehensive until they see the team sheet to see who. I mean, obviously the left back area has a bit of a problem because obviously Lewis Hall is part of his deal because he's initially came on a loan with the permanent signing happening in January for the agreed figure. He can't play either, so we haven't got a natural left back available tomorrow because obviously you've got Matt Targett out and Dan Burn out, with Lewis being out because of the agreement between the two clubs. So, you know, it probably could be Trippier going over there and Livramento coming in at right back, who looks a terrific player, by the way, a great young player. So that wouldn't weaken me. But it just goes a little bit against what Eddie's about, especially in the back four. He likes to have, you know, round pegs and round holes. He doesn't like to be playing, you know, right-footed full backs at left back and vice versa. So that could be a bit of an issue for us in terms of the starting 11, and then you're thinking about if Longstaff's out, who comes into the middle of the pitch with Joe Linton and Gamiresh, because obviously Sean's a real vital cog in the team at the last couple of seasons, you know.
They're a bit light there, Clarky, aren't they? Central midfield. You know, if they get another injury, obviously with what happened with Tonali, and I mean, there's there's a few available in January.
Exactly. When I was listening to Eddie's stuff this morning, the full conference, and he was saying it's difficult for him to say what his priorities are in January because of his injury list. That's what's going to dictate what he does in the market in January, because obviously the number of players out, and the players are not just in one area of the pitch, they're spread out. You've got defenders out, you've got midfield players out, you've got attacking players out, so he couldn't really commit to say where his priorities were for January. Obviously they'll be looking at players, like we've all known, we've been at clubs and you're looking at players for specific positions, but because the injury list has been so huge and it's covered the full areas of the team, it'll just be interesting to see what happens. So I think he's going to be looking in the next few weeks to see who can come back quicker. Like you say, he's a manager who doesn't take risks with players as well in terms of injuries. So he's not going to try and get somebody
I think a
back.
bit of rare light. I think the bit of rare sunshine for you, Clark, is the fact it's at home, mate, isn't it? Because you know, when players step in, you know, at home, it's a bit like a fortress at the moment, isn't it? And I think the crowd give anybody a lift who steps on that pitch. And I think had it been away, then I think you're a bit more concerned about how it's going to go, etc. But like you say, with the form that's been at home, you've got to take that into the game and hopefully continue the good run that you've been on previously.
Yeah, mate, you're right. What he has done since he's come in, and after the initial first couple of months when he could get the first transfer window out the way and sign some experienced Premier League lads, the home form under Eddie's been brilliant. And you said it's turned the ground into a bit of a fortress, especially with the atmosphere with the fans and everyone being together. So that could work in our favour tomorrow, but we're not underestimating, because this is a Chelsea team, like we've all just said, that are looking very impressive.
And one player who has been mentioned, Clark, he's Calvin Phillips, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he's one everyone's talking about because obviously when he was at Leeds, he was a terrific player, and he's a player that we really, even when everyone's fit, Higgy, we could do with someone like him as well, an out-and-out number 6 defensive midfield player, knows the role, specialist in that role. So even when we've got all our players fit, he could still be an asset to us. And obviously he's not playing at all. He's not, youngsters are getting ahead of him at Man City at the moment. So, I think that could be a possibility, whether we're signing him on loan. I mean, with financial fair play, I don't believe we'll be able to sign him permanently with probably the price bracket Man City will want for him. So, a loan deal could be a possibility. And then obviously the rearing its ugly head when we're talking about loan players, we've had that situation this week where the clubs have voted on whether clubs can sign players on loan from clubs that their owners own and other league. But this frustrates and winds me up because this has been going on for years. We talked about this last week. Watford and Udinese have been buying and selling and loaning players between each other for the last 4 or 5 years, as long as that Pozzo family have been involved. Frank Lampard went from the club that Man City owned in America to Man City.
Yeah.
So it's always happened, but all of a sudden, because Newcastle are starting to, seems to me in any way, Newcastle starting to break through to challenge the big 6. People are starting to get a little bit panicky. Oh, they've got this money, but how they're going to get round the rules because their owners own the 4 biggest clubs in Saudi. Well, that's not Newcastle's problem. It's the way the football world's been working. Do you know what I mean? So if we can go and get like a Ruben, if we can go and get a Ruben Neves from his club in Saudi, 1, a very experienced Premier League player with Wolves, and 2, a really good player would certainly be good for us. Why not go and do it? And I just felt it was a little bit, and I'm glad the vote didn't happen. It didn't stop that, because like Eddie said today, there's many owners now in the Premier League who own other clubs around the world, not just Premier League clubs.
Do you think that's right, Clarky?
That they should be able to do it, Higgy?
Not yet. Do you think owners should be able to have multiple clubs? No matter where they are.
I don't.
No, I totally agree. I think you shouldn't, because this is then you open this can of worms, which says you couldn't tell me if we went and wanted to sign Ruben Neves now from a club that our owners own in Saudi, we'd be getting him for a ridiculously low fee. There'd be no loan fee between the clubs, because basically the owners own both clubs. So what's the point in that?
But that's open to a bit of. They could fudge it so that they get under financial fair play, couldn't they?
Of course. And
you know what I mean?
For example, if Neves,
or they could go the other way and say we've spent X amount on him.
Well, yeah, exactly. So, for example, if Neves has gone to Saudi and he's on 500k a week, for example, Newcastle might be able to get round it. Oh, we'll pay a fifth of it. Then we'll pay 100 grand of the 500 to get, like you say, to get round the FFP.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
So
you're always going to find ways around it.
I think.
Well, that's a grey area, but it stops it.
It's not watertight.
It stops it if you're allowed to have one club, doesn't it?
I think that exactly. I think what the authorities and the governing bodies have put themselves in this mess by allowing owners to buy clubs all over the world.
Yeah. And you see it where you get a club that's twinned with another club. So there used to be a way in for the African players playing Belgium for a year, and then if they were in Belgium for a year, that means they could come over to Europe and stuff and play. And that was the way in for them. I don't know whether that loophole's shut. I don't think it has. I think it's still going on, but you see other clubs twinned with those clubs all the time.
They close loopholes, but then they just find another way around it, don't they? Do you know what I mean? There's always going to be. So they're never ever watertight with things. This is the thing.
No.
And it's never black and white. It's like always something.
There's a transfer deadline day, so you can't sign anyone, but you can sign free agents. So what's stopping someone ripping up a contract, becoming a free agent, and then you sign him? Do you know what I mean? There's just so many ways around it that some of the rules mean nothing.
Yeah, totally agree.
No.
And you're never going to close them fully, are you? Because there's too many loopholes, like you say, Daz. People are creative and they find a way around these things.
Of course they
so
are.
it's really difficult. But the big one for me is dual ownership of clubs and players going between clubs.
Yeah.
You could own 5 of the biggest clubs in the world on different continents, and you could just peddle around players.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Who's stopping that?
Exactly.
But
and if that happens,
that's why
it's
come to the fore. Higgy, that's why it's come to the fore, because Saudi have ended up taking some of the best. I think everyone at first thought Saudi will be a haven for like the Ronaldos of this world, who are the world-class players, the best players in the world, best players in the world in their heyday, getting towards the latter stages of their career, go and make loads of money, go and raise the profile of Saudi Arabian football. But what's happened is they then went and signed young players. They've went and signed young players, so like your Neveses and stuff like that, like Jordan Henderson, not young, but still got a lot to give in English football. Yeah. So it's like that's what's caused the ripple effect, because everyone's thinking, wow, Newcastle could have a foothold in Saudi now if they wanted, with their owners owning the 4 biggest clubs in Saudi.
Yeah, exactly. It's mad.
And that's a problem. And that's a problem in itself, by the way.
More than one club.
That's what I was just going to say.
More than one club in the same country.
Exactly, that's what I was just going to say to you. That's a problem in itself.
Yeah,
Newcastle's owners owning the 4 biggest clubs in the same league. How does that work? How can that be allowed?
Yeah. Well, you imagine if one owner had the full Premier League, 20 clubs in the Premier League. That's just money for them. They're just buying money, aren't they? It's ridiculous.
Exactly. It's
that could never happen.
It's unbelievable.
Could never happen here. But until you stop owners owning multiple clubs in different countries, I think you're always going to have this conversation, aren't you? Because it's obviously going to go on. And why wouldn't it?
Definitely.
You know, if I own another club and I can save some money but get a good player, why wouldn't I?
Definitely.
So,
well, yeah, exactly.
I don't blame any club who does that. Yeah, exactly. You're going to benefit yourself, aren't you?
We have had, while we're talking about Newcastle at the moment, we have had a message in from Leslie in Durham. And I don't want to get back into the whole England argument again, but it was a question for you, Lee, and for the rest of the guys. Do you think it was harsh, Anthony Gordon, not to get a call up for England? I feel he offers more than Rashford and is in better form and has a better attitude.
Well, listen, it's everyone's going to push their players from their team. I think what Gareth's got, he's got a group of players who can play for England. You know, like we talked about earlier, about this group of players can be we believe strongly that they can be the first ones since '66 to deliver a trophy, the Euros or a World Cup. And the squad is full of talent, and you look at some of the players who aren't getting a game, you know, and who aren't getting called up as well. And all clubs will have people where they go, he deserves it. You know, we even talked about it, and I said it a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but I was being a bit serious earlier in the season when we're talking about the left-back situation for England. I mentioned Dan Burn. No one was playing better than him at the time. So you always push players from your club. Anthony Gordon, since the under-21s in the summer when he done really well, which gave him his confidence back, he's been brilliant for Newcastle this season, the standout player in my opinion. But there's other players in there, you know, you're looking who he's up against to try and get in that squad. Gareth's mentioned he's on the radar, but when you're trying to pick, you know, 24 players, best players in the country, it is difficult, because he does have a high volume of top class players, you know. I mean, you people say, well, look at Raheem Sterling, he's playing really well for Chelsea now. He's unbelievably experienced at both club and international level. He's won the biggest prizes, and he's nowhere near it at the moment. So I think if he went to every club in the Premier League and he got a player who deserves to be in the England squad, they'd probably throw 2 or 3 at you, mate, in there. So I've got no doubt there that Gareth, he's quite regular at St James's, you know. So I think he's got, and obviously Gordon's in the under-21s, he'll be on his radar. Sean Longstaff, you know, if he can continue his, you know, consistency, he's even someone that could be considered. All the lads, if you're playing in a team that's getting to the top end of the table, competing in the in Europe as well, playing in the big European games, you'll have a chance without a doubt.
Yeah. All right, we will chat more about.
I think it's difficult for Anthony Gordon, isn't it? I think with Anthony Gordon, he plays in a position where England have just got so much talent there.
Exactly.
That it's going to be really difficult for any forward player to get in them situations. You see Rico Lewis. I mean, listen, Rico Lewis is a really good player. I don't think he's ready for England yet, but if you've got Rico Lewis playing, why can't Curtis Jones play? Why can't and Anthony Gordon get in? Why? So it's really difficult, but I think what goes against him is probably where he plays on the pitch, because like I say, England have got so many talented world-class players that play there. It's going to be difficult to break in.
All right, thank you very much, gents. We will chat more, and we'll come back and have a chat about Sunderland right after this.
Clark, legend. Williams, legend. Hignett, legend. It's the three legends. WhatsApp us, call or send a voice message. We don't bite. 033 00 43 2002.
Right across the northeast, by the fans, for the fans, the Tune, the Red and the Cat.
It is the three legends on the Cat, the Tune and the Red. And as we said, you can get in touch on 033 or 43 2002. After the Three Legends show, it will be black and white and red all over with Ian Murtagh. Ian joins us now. Good evening, Ian. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Hello, lads. Hope everyone's okay.
Hello, Ian. You all right?
You okay, mate?
Yeah, all good, mate.
I've got a little bit of a poser for you. A little bit of a poser. My first guest, he left a northeast club to join the best team in the land and went on to win 2 Football League medals and a European Cup winners medal. Who is he?
Jordan Henderson.
No,
I'm not sure he's doing much press at the moment.
I don't think the time synchronised with Saudi at the minute.
I just thought it was the fee.
Well, no, as I say, he played 100 odd games for one of our clubs, one of the northeast clubs. Then joined the best club in the land. Won 2 league titles and won the European Cup before returning to the northeast.
Ooh,
that's a good question.
Wow.
Ooh.
Well, I was hoping Clarkie would forfeit and say Andy Cole, because that would be he fits into that category. But it's someone who did this about a decade.
Because Cooley came back to Sunderland, didn't he, under Roy Keane?
He went back to Sunderland, that's right, yeah. So, no, I'll tell you who my first guess is. It's David Hodgson. Shame on you, Mr. Hignett.
Wow.
Know your borough history.
Should have got that.
Right.
I should have got that. I didn't go back that far.
I'll tell him that.
Tell Hodgie I said that. What a top man Hodgie is.
Do you know the amazing thing with Hodgie is he's a favourite. He's so popular with Sunderland and Middlesbrough fans, and yet he's a hero in Darlington, and he's absolutely hated in Hartlepool. So I'm going to ask him about that as well. So that should be interesting. And my second guess is our first returnee. On my very first show, I had the Northern Echo's Scott Wilson, the only man who never needs a microphone because his voice is so loud. But he was so good, I've decided to get him back. So and we've got a great weekend. It's so lovely to have league football back again, isn't it? Because the season's been stop-start really since September with 3 international breaks, but now it's really entering into the meat of it, as it were.
Fabulous, thank you.
Pass on my regards to Hodgie.
Certainly will.
Me too.
I'll tell him you didn't get the answer, by the way.
Me too, mate.
I should have.
All right, thank you,
Take
Ian.
care, lads.
And we'll catch up with you in about 12 minutes' time on black and white and red all over. All right, we've still got Sunderland and Borough to have a chat about. Mogga had this to say in his pre-match press conference yesterday.
They've had some big results. There's some good results, particularly at home. They've had some big results. They scored 6 against Norwich, drew 3-3 with Middlesbrough, beat Blackburn 3-0. You know, Blackburn are a top team. It's Yeah, they've had some really good results at home, particularly, and scored lots and lots of goals. I think they're in the top 3 in goals scored in this division. So we have to be very mindful that they can give you lots of problems when they're on the ball. They've lost probably too many goals for their liking, but you know, if as you look at the game, you would think there's going to be goals in it because they score a lot of goals at home, and our record away from home is okay. And so you know, we're looking forward to the challenge of it. It's for me, I haven't been to Plymouth for lots of years, to be honest, but I know it's a very difficult place to go and get a result.
So, are the Sunderland lads going to go and get a result tomorrow, do you think, Daz?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think they're more than capable. I think, obviously, you know, like Mowbray's touched on there, you know, we've got to just be out on the side of, you know, caution that they do score goals. You know, and for me, you know, we are suspect at times. You know, we had some rash moments in the Birmingham game where we went really under par for about 25-30 minutes and just kept giving the ball away. And obviously, you know, teams like Plymouth will punish you on the back of those things. Obviously the little bit of doubt obviously was Sirkin being out, but you know, we've got the return of obviously 09 coming back in the side, and Trey Hume, you know, which is obviously lightens that a little bit. Ballard's obviously a question mark because he came back from international duty. I don't think he'll travel. And then we've got Juice and Bennett, who's out with a virus as well. So I think he's still got a few issues, but Triantis came in and done well against Birmingham. I think, you know, for his first start, you know, after getting called up, you know, so late. I think, you know, it was in the warm up. You know, he come in and stepped in and done really well. So I'm looking forward to an exciting game. Really, I think, you know, it's going to be full of goals, like Mowbray said. But I'm quietly confident that, you know, we've got enough in the tank to go there and get a result.
Yeah, and I would think so, Daz. I don't see any reason why you should be scared. Like Tony says, they do score goals, but listen, Sunderland are more than capable of scoring goals as well. I think it'll be an exciting game because Plymouth are one of them teams who will go for it, who have got a good home record, but I don't see anything there to be scared of. And like he says there, they do concede goals. You know, that's the thing for them. They do concede goals. They do score them. Don't get me wrong, they do, but
yeah.
I think they're quite open at the back. I think when Borough played there, Borough were disappointed they didn't come away with all 3 points after going behind as well. Yeah. So I don't see anything to be scared of, and I think it'll be a really open and exciting game.
Yeah, I do, mate. To be fair, and I mean, we all know it. I mean, I'm sure we've all played there. It's a difficult place to go. It'd be quite, you know, obviously the travel alone. I know obviously the guys will probably fly down and this, that, and the other, but you know, it's not your normal, you know, championship, you know, ground, etc. Yeah. But for me, you know, I'm looking at the players. I think, you know, they finished well. You know, they've done well against Birmingham. But it's just that sloppy period they had, you know, which is a bit concerning because, you know, that's the time that Plymouth will probably punish you. You know, if you keep giving the ball away and keep giving them chances, you know, you're going to get punished at the end of the day. And for me, I think if we can get through that patch without conceding, you know, I'm sure we'll be fine at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree.
Does the distance matter? You know, I mean, obviously Borough down at Bristol, they've, you know, had quite a few long treks, and I know quite often now teams will fly down. But does the distance matter in terms of a team's preparation?
I think it does.
I don't think it matters from a point of view.
I do, Daz. I think it shouldn't. Don't get me wrong, I don't think it should, but I think it does. I think teams, you know, like Plymouth is so far away, I think it matters to Plymouth, you know, more than it would anyone travelling there. I think they see their ground as being home and sanctuary type thing, especially going in a new league and what have you. They've done really well at home, and I think they're comfortable at home and they feel comfortable, and sometimes you get players who will play at home and they'll be better at home psychologically. I don't know why it happens, but when they go away from home, they're not the same. The different players when they play at home. You can get it with training ground players sometimes as well, where you see players training and they're brilliant, and then you see them on a match day and they're not quite the same. And it's the same, I think, with that effect. You know, some players will play at home play better than they do when they go away from home. So it doesn't affect. I don't think it affects the team going there as funnily enough as much, because they don't have that comfort feeling. Do you know what I mean? It's whenever you go away from home, you don't feel comfortable, and teams do the best to make you not feel comfortable. But it shouldn't have an effect, but I think it does.
I think from Sunderland's point of view, mate, you know, probably the advantage is they have been better away from home at times, you know, over the past so many seasons. You know, I think they find it a lot of pressure sometimes at home. You know, the expectation of the fans, obviously, if it's more or less a full house. So I think sometimes they are a bit more relaxed when they go away. And, you know, from our point of view, I was just going to say just due to the travelling, but, you know, they do, like you say, they do fly a lot now. You know, it does take, you know, it's not like where you sat on a bus.
Do you think the fact that Sunderland are a young team helps them, Daz? Because sometimes when you're a kid, you're not scared of anything, are you?
No, exactly, and I think they play without fear, mate. To be quite honest, you know, like I say, I'm hoping, you know, for a little bit of pick up from, you know, Jack Clark. He looked a little bit off in the last game. You know, he just wasn't his effective self, you know. But then I say that, and then in the last 2 minutes he goes and crosses the ball and we score a goal. Do you know what I mean? So he can be effective, but he just didn't have that impression throughout the 90 minutes of the game. But again, you know, that it could have been a bit of fatigue, you know, a bit of tiredness kicking in. You know, we all know what the Championship's like. It can take it out of you, but with a side that they've got, you know, they are a young side. I think they do play without fear, and I think they play with a lot of energy, especially in the middle of that park.
All right, we are running out of time, guys, so we need to have a chat about the Borough as well, and Borough's equally long trip down to Bristol. This is what Carrick had to say yesterday.
I think the boys who have not gone away on international, it's important that they switch off and have a breather and come again stronger. And for me, this game's even bigger than the Leicester game. I think there's a natural buzz and there's a natural feeling around the Leicester game. Top of the league and you know, coming down from the Premier League and good team. I think there was a big feeling in the stadium that it was a big game. For us, this is an even bigger game, going down to Bristol, new manager, first game at home, and with total respect for Bristol, it's one that is you can take your eye off the back of Leicester, because everyone's still enjoying Leicester, but that's done, and this challenge is even bigger for us. So we're looking forward to it and be ready for that, but we certainly use the energy and the confidence that we've gained over recent weeks.
Now, this is the start of a big run of games for Borough against some tough sides. Do you think he's right? Do you think they need to try? This is a more important game than the Leicester game?
Well, I think it is, because Leicester's gone. You know, they've done brilliant against them, got a really good result, got the 3 points, and to go down to Bristol and not play well and not get the result you want, well, it's a waste of a result, of a brilliant result against Leicester. So he'll want them to be at it. He's had a couple of weeks off where you hope some players have come back injured, although Darren Lenihan's going to be out for the season. Riley McGree's still not fit. Marcus Force is still not fit. But they're in a good vein of form, Borough, and they should all be confident. And there's no reason why they can't go down to Bristol City if they're not complacent, put in a good performance and get 3 points back. Because, you know, Bristol City, whilst it is a tough place to go, I don't think they're doing particularly well. Obviously, Nigel Pearson's left recently. I think it's Manning now, isn't it, in charge down there. So, listen, it's a game where if they're not at it, it could be a problem. But I think if they are at it, they win it.
New manager bounce, maybe have an effect on it?
I don't think so. I think they were doing all right under Nigel, don't get me wrong, and I think they were okay, and they were well organised and they got some really good results and they were playing some good stuff. They want to push up the table, and they feel like they've got a squad that should be doing better than it is. They've got some talented players, that's for sure, but I don't think the new manager bounce would topple what Borough are doing at the minute because of the confidence factor that they're in. You know, they're playing really well, Borough. They know what they're doing. They've got a way of playing that suits them, and it's clicked at the minute. And the longer you can keep it like that, the better, because it won't always be like that. You know, you'll go through stages in the season because it's such a long season and there's loads of games. You're going to get injuries and you're going to have some poor results, but it's the consistency level. If you can, you know, more often than not, you're 7 out of 10. then you're going to be up there at the end of the league, because teams are all, they can be a 4 one week, and other weeks they could be an 8 or 9, and they fluctuate so much. If you can just stay steady, then you've got a great chance. But they have got some tough games. I know they've got Preston, haven't they, Tuesday as well. Preston have started the season well. That's going to be a tough game. But listen, Borough at home, but the focus must be on getting a good result down in Bristol first.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I can't see them causing you many problems, mate, to be honest. I don't foresee it. I think, like you say, I think Middlesbrough in a rich vein of form at the moment. They've come off the back of a fantastic win against Leicester, and albeit that they're only 2 points behind in the league. I just, I can't. I think Middlesbrough will just be too strong for them, mate.
I was actually glad that there was a bit of a break after the Leicester game, because there's always a case of after the Lord Mayor's show when you get a result like that against a top team. Whereas they've had a couple of weeks to think about 100%. It now, and they'll be back on it again.
I am a little bit worried. Did someone get Lee a glass of water? Are you all right, Lee? Because we heard you coughing.
I'm all right. I just had a coughing fit there, lads.
Well, that's nearly it from us. Thank goodness you're all right. Any predictions then? The Newcastle game predictions, lads?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Newcastle and Sunderland to draw, and the Borough to win.
Very good.
I'm going Newcastle to draw, definitely. Borough, I'm going to say win. Sunderland draw.
Very good. And Daz?
But that's the same as you.
I'm going Newcastle. Newcastle.
It is
win,
the same, mate.
Sunderland win. Borough win.
Well, thank you very much.
I'll go for 3 wins.
Excellent.
Wow.
3 wins. That'll do. Thank you very much, the 3 legends. Craig, Darren, and Lee. Have yourself a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers. Thanks, Darren.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Have a good one, lads. Take care. See you, pal.